My name is Dan Bosse, President of AgResource, joined by Dr. Bill Tierney to talk a little bit about what's been happening across the central U.S., Bill.
Right.
We had a very cold weekend here. I know I didn't enjoy it, and as you look at the wheat fields behind me, they didn't enjoy it. We have snow across western Kansas that at least this morning is still there. Probably be gone by this afternoon. But, you know, in your long tenure, have you ever experienced something like this, and can we quantify it yet?
Well, it's funny. I was getting an email from somebody who's on the tour right now, and while I myself never got caught in a spring blizzard in western Kansas, I know people that have. Sometimes they've lasted longer than just a few days with snow on the ground. I don't recall precisely a crop being damaged by heavy snow. Almost always it was a freeze event. Now, certainly temperatures were cold, but what people are trying to quantify is the heavy snow aspect. And I really don't have any frame of reference to evaluate how much damage may have been done. On the other hand, I visited with some people who were on a tour just last week before the regular tour, and some of these individuals have been touring the crop for over the last 40 years. And these are extremely experienced individuals that have been in the wheat and flour milling industry for decades. And their view prior to the snow event was that all that moisture was going to improve yield prospects for the crop as a whole. So it's generally moisture, the availability of moisture, that determines the yields, and it's not so much weather events like freezes or heavy snow. So clearly some wheat has been lost because of heavy snow, because of cold temperatures, but it's difficult to figure out how much that moisture may have improved crop prospects and yield prospects. We're going to see a May crop report next week. There is a tendency for the USDA's May crop estimate to actually, for hard red winter wheat, I'm just talking hard red, to underestimate the crop about 54% of the time. Curiously, last year, the USDA's May hard red winter wheat estimate was 25% too low relative to final. Actually, it was about 1/3 too low. The final crop was 25% larger. So there's still a lot of play left in crop estimates.
Right.
Even though we're going to have a May crop estimate next week based on conditions this week, there's still a lot of play in there. I think when I looked at the history that the smallest final hard red winter wheat crop was maybe 8 to 9% below the May estimate. The largest hard red winter wheat crop was maybe as much like last year, 25% above. So there's a lot of play there.
A lot of wiggle room.
Yeah, a lot of wiggle room.
So as we think about it, you know, even USDA coming out in May, they're probably going to struggle. I mean, how do you estimate wheat that's under snow in terms of yield?
I don't know.
And that's going to be a chore that NASA enumerators will have. When you look back at condition ratings where they're about in the mid-50s, you come up with a wheat yield somewhere between 41 and 44. I imagine we'll be in that range, but everybody will be second-guessing that number as soon as it's released, I would guess.
It's valid to second guess because, as I said, there is still a lot of development in the crop, and there's been rather dramatic changes in crop estimates from May to June, and in some years from the June to the July estimate. You wouldn't think it, but in some years from the June to July, there have been large changes.
Well, to me anyway, what's going on is because we've got all the rain and we've got wheat with wet feet, not only from Kansas all the way through Missouri and southern Illinois and Ohio, there's always that proliferation chance of disease should we get to that point and weather conditions are right. But this year, starting with all this moisture, I guess those opportunities are there.
Actually, I'm glad you brought up the disease issue. The one of the three principal varieties produced for hard red winter wheat, hard red, soft red, and white. Soft red shows really significant changes from the June to the July estimate, and it's almost always due to disease pressure. It's not due to freeze, it's not due to too little moisture, it's disease pressure. And it takes not only bushels out of the field, but it reduces whatever yield you get. It reduces, creates quality problems as well. So the disease is not likely, in my opinion, to have a dramatic effect on the hard red winter wheat estimates, but it could on the soft red winter wheat estimates, and we probably won't see that until the July estimate comparing it to the June, because it's that warm, moist conditions, and then you get all these foliar diseases, and it just really impacts soft red winter wheat yields and quality.
Maybe one of the reasons it doesn't happen in the plains normally, you don't have this much rainfall, but we'll see.
Yeah.
My name is Dan Bossie. We thank you. Lots of things happening in the world wheat market, in particular the United States, with U.S. wheat plantings at 100-year lows. Crop sizes are up for debate. Thank you, Bill, for joining us. We'll be back next time.